Welcome back. Warcraft 3 has had more changes to the PTR, so that's the test realm where we get the new patch changes, potentially, depending on whether Blizzard thinks they're okay to go ahead. They've already made some changes, we're going to talk about them. For example, Priestess of the Moon, Polymorph has now been settled to 1.5 seconds, whereas originally 3 seconds. Taurens are still tier 2 units for now. Priest of the Moon's been buffed up to 48 damage on those Searing Arrows when she gets to level 3 Searing Arrows. And Ghouls got a little tier there. They're crying because it's 60 seconds now to upgrade Ghoul Frenzy, which is the big sort of fast-moving ghouls. You know, go hard, go fast, when they look like little Surglings, basically. So it takes 60 seconds, where originally it took 45 seconds. That'll affect the top-tier Undead players. It probably won't worry you guys so much. So yeah, they've made some more changes, and not really just adapted changes to what we know with the Priestess of the Moon, the Sork, the Tauren. They've actually made an adaptation to the Arcane Tower. So let's take a look, shall we? Hero feedback reduced from 16 to 14, so that's a slight nerf, I would say, on the Arcane Tower. It's reduced it. Knights and Sundering Blades no longer require Lumber Mill. I kind of like that. I don't like it when so many buildings require other buildings, or rather units require other buildings to actually get produced in the first place. Because a lot of time, it's mostly from just negligence, just forgetting, going, hey, I want to build a knight. Oh, I forgot to build a lumber mill. Okay, I got to build a lumber mill now. Oh, now I can get knights. So you have to do a lot of pre-planning. So this kind of helps idiots like me. Sundering Blades upgrade cost increased, so that's going to take a huge chunk of lumber out of the human, so they want to get it, which is the extra damage to melee, medium armor units. Then yes, that's going to come at a price. Polymorph hero, as we know, down to 1.5 seconds, so it's still in the game. You can still polymorph a hero, but it's down to 1.5 seconds. I did think about the lines of, if you invised, say for example, several Sorks, and when you are basically hero nuking with the intention to kill your enemy hero, the top players will tend to be able to judge the amount of damage they're taking from spells like Stormbolt, Holy Light, etc. But they might not also take into account a few Sorks that are currently in invisible mode that then polymorph them. You see? Because they're judging the damage they're going to take, and then they're going to town portal probably at the last moment when they're down to like anywhere between 0 and 1 health and 100 health. Something like that. But if you've got a few Sorks hidden and you polymorph on top of the Stormbolt and the Holy Light, there's that extra chance that you can keep them CC'd just long enough that they won't be able to double click that town portal in time. Orc, Troll Headhunter, base damage reduced. I don't remember hearing many people actually complain about Headhunters that much these days, but they are still very good units. So just a very minor change down to 21 I think is okay. Healing Wards make it a much easier time to go Witch Doctors. 50 mana off from 200 is pretty huge. Healing Wards are actually really good. Really good. Obviously, high-level players, anyone with a brain, essentially would try to target the Healing Wards, but if you make it hard to be targeted, it's less punishing, at least, to put down 150 mana Healing Ward than a 200 one. Tauren build time has been increased, because they're still at tier 2, so I guess that's to be more in line with the fact they're a big, chunky unit, although we haven't... I don't know if we've seen too much gameplay in how that's working out with Taurens being tier 2. I can't imagine Orcs actually being that excited for it. I think it's just because, like I was mentioning the last time I did a video on this, they have a kind of pace to them, Orc. They're fast, they're snappy, they're always moving. Taurens are big, clunky, slow, doesn't always gel. So, I don't know, they've got a Kodo. Sometimes Orcs chuck a Kodo in and they manage to keep the snappy pace, so perhaps there's a place for Taurens. Pulverize is still tier 3, by the way, and that damage has been reduced. I guess that's the base pulverized damage. So that's the tier 2 Tauren, because it always comes out with pulverized now, whereas originally you had to upgrade it. This is a fun one. Night Elf. Priestess of the Moon, Searing Arrow. Damage increased from 10 to 12, 24 to 24. Well, that hasn't increased then. 40 to 48. And this is all up from the original values, which was only 10, 20, 30. So that's some significant damage, I would say, particularly once you get level 3 Searing Arrows. But then again, who's going to go level 3 Searing Arrows? You're going to have level 3 True Shot Aura, and then level 2 Searing Arrows, and then you're going to take level 6, which will be your ultimate. So then it'll be level 7 Priest of the Moon would then hit level 48 damage on their Searing Arrows. So in a way, you can kind of justify it, because it's going to be pretty hard to get level 7 Priest of the Moon, unless you're in a team game or something. So there's still hero nukage. I think there's some actual value from going Priestess of the Moon and Firelord and concentrating on hero nukes. I really don't know how that's going to work necessarily in 1 versus 1. I think most players are going to be good enough to deal with that. But in 4 versus 4 RT, you can probably sneak a lot more hero kills than the enemy are suspecting. Because we'll get to the Firelord soon. So Starfall now only lasts for 30 seconds, down from 45, which is justified because 45 seconds is just such a long time to just be standing there. The damage has been increased from 50 to 60, so it's a buff. I mean, maybe it does slightly less damage overall, the 15 seconds, but 10 more damage. I don't know how it works out, but I think it's definitely a buff, really. Because who wants to be sitting there for 45 seconds? Keeper of the Grove. Force of Nature mana cost reduced from 100 to 85. I don't know why this has been made. Unless Keeper of the Grove has fallen out of the meta. I think his Force of Nature is really good. And it was already reduced down to 100 because I think it originally used to be like 125 or 110. And now it's 85? It's the same price as like Feral Spirits. And you get free treants, basically, that can be used to harass your opponents, and he's an intelligence hero. He's going to get a lot of treants. I mean, I always pick Force of Nature with the Keeper of the Grove anyway, originally to creep and stuff, and then you start building into Entangle. So I don't understand why this happened. This seems unnecessary. Moonwell regeneration increased from 1.35 to 1.45. I don't think Moonwell's getting buffed is necessarily the greatest idea, but perhaps it's necessary to keep up with the power of obsidian statues that everyone has started to glom onto now on the Reddit for Warcraft 3. Wellspring regeneration mana bonus reduced, so that's a little nerf to sort of maybe compensate for that. And Mountain Giants are back to being big old chonkers, 7 food units rather than the 6 food they were going to be changed into. Undead. The Ruby and Tower damage type changed from normal to piercing. I like this change because this makes them better as anti-air units, or, you know, anti-air, sorry, towers. Not that they really are, but, you know, to deal with air, which I think is more of a primary concern for a tower than ground units, because they've got the ziggurat for ground units, right? And if they're doing normal damage, they can actually do quite a lot of damage to certain units with medium armor. And against heavy armor, they do full damage, basically. Whereas piercing is not going to do so much. So it's less egregious. Because Nerubian Tower is really good. For 100 gold and 20 lumber, that tower that slows, is obnoxious, attacks pretty darn quickly. It's really bloody good. And the fact it was doing normal damage, I think even changing it to piercing still makes it... I mean, it definitely nerfs it, I think, but makes it more valuable versus air harass. But I still think that's a strong tower. Frost Nova slow duration reduced from 468 to 456. Yeah, I think that's fine. Frost Nova is just obnoxious in every way, shape, or form. It does really good damage. It's got a short cooldown, and it lasts a long time, the slow. So you can basically get in line to do another Frost Nova. Evergon Lich with Dark Ritual, it's incredibly powerful. Some of you may have seen from my 4 versus 4 RT games. I will basically focus single-handedly on Lich and Dark Ritual and be able to win a game purely on just the Lich. Just hero sniping and unit sniping like nobody's business with unlimited mana, essentially. Crypt Lord Impale reduced. That's fine. No one uses it. So, cool. More Impale from Crypt Lord is fun. Death and Decay mana cost reduced. I think that's justified. It's a huge chunk of mana. It is a strong ability, it's just so situational. And 250 mana, it's basically 2 more Frost Novas. So that's one way I look at it. Because people were asking me one time when I was doing that Lich game where I had like a super strong Lich, I was just sniping everything. It's like, oh, do you get Death and Decay? I go, no, I get level 3 Frost Nova, level 3 Dark Ritual. I'll skip Death and Decay. I'll get it later. It's not even that primary a concern unless I absolutely need to kill a base. I'd rather go around killing all the bloody units and then leveling up my hero faster, so then I can get Death and Decay. Ghoul Frenzy, that's the reduction. So instead of 45 seconds, it's now 60 seconds. Takes a bit longer. Web upgrade cost is now 100 instead of 150. So web being available for Undead is a lot easier now. And I never felt as an Undead that I struggled that much with that pricing. Even though 150 is quite a lot of resources, they have the easy lumber from the ghouls and such, and the 100 extra 50 gold isn't too much. I mean, it's good for undead, but not necessarily so good for the rest of us. Boneyard cost is reduced by a tiny amount, negligible really. Wand of Negation, that's the new item that they put in, basically a form of dispel, but the undead had Scroll of Healing removed. That's now down to 2. So it costs a little bit less in compensation, so it's basically 75 gold a charge, which I think is fairly okay. Curse duration used to last 2 minutes on units, and now lasts 60 seconds. It's still a really long time when you think about it. That's like half the duration, and it's still a long time. And on heroes, it's 30 seconds. There's not many debuffs that last on heroes for 30 seconds, or units for 60 seconds. And Curse is like a 40 mana spell. So, yes, it should be brought down in line. But even then, these are like really high value numbers. And that's coming from that. So that goes to show you just how powerful Curse really has been for a long time. Naga Sea Witch, Mana Shield, activation cost reduced from 25 to 10. I'm not sure who's going to use it, but it's fine because no one uses it, and anything that's a buff to something that no one uses could be a potential for it getting used again. Firelord Soul Burn damage reduction increased from minus 50% to 75%, trying to make it so that maybe there's more reason to use Soul Burn, potentially against a unit or a hero that does a lot of damage. That way you're making them do less damage. Good against a Blade Master, perhaps. Maybe that might make Soul Burn more of a primary concern. Soul Burn hero duration increased, so it lasts longer, which means it should be doing more damage because it does damage over time. So I'm not sure if that's reflected, but I assume it is. Or maybe that's just the duration of the actual damage reduction and not necessarily an increase of damage being done because of the increase of the dot. Do you see what I mean? Not 100% sure on that. Ankh of Reincarnation delay reduced from 7 to 5 seconds. The only thing this really affects are the higher level players that will try to surround your hero when you die with an Ankh. They have less time to do that now. Glove of Haste attack speed increased from 15% to 20%. That's pretty big. Because Gloves of Haste is a low tier item, which is going to make it more valuable in that end game, where once you've got more damage on your hero, that 20% is going to have much more of a significant impact. Interesting. That is definitely a bit of a buff though. Creeps. So these are creeps that have sleep. It no longer targets enemy heroes. The duration is reduced. The cooldown is increased. Costs less for them. So this is affecting specific creep camps on certain maps. Enforcer and Bandit Lord no longer have Shadow Meld. Enforcer gets more health. Blood Wizard can now sleep. Rune of Speed duration reduced from 60 seconds to 20 seconds. That's one of those weird runes that might drop of an Ogre Magi on like Turtle Rock or something like that. And Infernals can move quicker. Hooray! So if you ever buy one of those, you can go faster. And then you're just back to the Master Changelog, which is basically the overall changes for each race with the finalized statistics. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this little update, make sure to smash the thumbs up button, smash it like crazy, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Continue to enjoy the rest of the stuff I put on the channel, be it melee games or custom games. Have a good day.